Hi, this is Grace,
Hi, I'm Prisca.
and this is the Fighting Club, a space where being together makes us stronger.
Take a break and hang out with us.
Where are you, Prisca?
I am in Seattle in my home, and this is just a background from
I was
Google.
gonna say it looks so cool. It looks like you're in outer space.
Yeah,
I'm in Brooklyn. This background is super like hipster Brooklyn chic. This is
love
not what
it.
my living room looks like at all. It's what I wish it looked like.
We could do
Um,
a reveal.
no. I
No.
don't want to reveal my. Oh, that's too personal.
Uh,
Just wanted to do a little bestie check-in since we're besties and could check in. Yeah, I would love to hear anything you want to share. Like, how are you doing?
last week was honestly pretty rough because I still had my kids and but then they started school, so
Mm.
I feel like it's just a lot better now, being able
You
to
started this
handle.
week, you're saying.
Yeah. How about
Oh.
you? How are things going?
Things are better, I think, because the weather is just like a lot cooler in New York City. It feels like perfect. It's in the 60s, low 60s,
Mm,
breezy. Yesterday we tried to meet up with some of our friends at a Korean food festival. It's called K-Fest in Queens. And I was really looking forward to it because it had a lot of Korean food vendors that I wanted to check out and support. But then we got there and the line was like 4 blocks plus long. Like it was like over 300 people just to get in to the
oh
K
my
Fest.
gosh.
So
Wait,
we
it
couldn't
was
find parking.
outdoors?
It's an outdoor event, but it was like a enclosed area where like you like, get checked in or whatever to get in, and it was just over
Mm.
capacity. So Korean food is just like really continuing to have its time. And I was like, that was the first time they ever did K-Fest in Long Island City, Queens, which is Western Queens near the water. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have to like take over an entire park because it was so oversubscribed. So
Yeah.
that was a little disappointing. I was really looking forward to the
Yeah.
Korean food festival, but what do you want to talk about?
So today, I'm actually really excited. We're talking about representation then and now. So what representation look like of ourselves in media, like films, TV, and books. So looking back on our childhood and then, excuse me, reflecting on how things have changed today.
So tell me about like a time as a kid. I guess we can go back to like middle school, even elementary school, the shows that we watched. I'm thinking like the Babysitters Club, Power Rangers.
Yeah.
What are the
Yeah.
characters that like spoke to you or didn't? And did you notice like racism in the kids show?
So obviously like Power Rangers, that was the most like memorable one for me,
Okay.
the yellow Power Ranger,
Trini,
Trini. But
saber-tooth tiger.
so I had this experience though where I was sort of tired of being the Yellow Ranger. Because, like,
Oh,
when you're playing with your friend group, well, at least for me and my friend group, when we played Power Rangers, I was the only Asian, so I was always the Yellow Ranger, so like
yeah.
we would label ourselves based on whoever we
Race.
look like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was always the Yellow Ranger. And there were times like I wanted to be the Pink Ranger.
Yeah, the white girl.
Um, and I actually later started making stuff up. I was like, oh, Power Rangers is coming out with an Orange Ranger, so I'm gonna be the Orange Ranger. And so I would make up like other colors because I was just sick of being the Yellow Ranger all the time. As much as I loved Trini, I love the Yellow Ranger, and I think it was really important for representation. But then it was like so limited,
Yeah.
right? We're limiting to only have one character, pretty much.
Yeah. Do you remember the opening credits for Power Rangers?
very vaguely.
Okay, so it was now looking back, it's like super racist, but like Trini, she was doing like kung fu or like
Uh-huh.
karate as her opening thing. And then the Black Ranger is black and was doing
Mhm.
like a hip hop move dance.
Oh, really?
It's
Oh
like
man, I need to
it's
re-look.
super racist. No. You gotta go back and look.
Is the music like
No, the music is just the opening credits of Power Rangers, but they're dance like Trini when they say
Oh
Yellow
no.
Ranger, I'm Trini, and then she's like doing a kung fu thing, and then Black Ranger is like doing a hip hop dance move, and I'm just like,
And
wow.
it's like different from the other Rangers, Power
Yeah, the other
Rangers.
Rangers
They
just
don't do
like
that.
just spins and I don't know, act like regular people. The white people act like just more multifaceted in what they do.
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember. I must have blocked that out. But
That's what stayed with me was
but
just the
I do
opening
remember
credits.
like when I was little at elementary school, people would only think I could do martial arts. Like
Oh,
that was like my thing, even
yeah,
though I mean
so
I took
racist.
Taekwondo, but I wasn't like good at it. And I actually quit at yellow
No.
belt because I couldn't get my square blocks or whatever it was.
Yellow belt, Yellow
But
Ranger.
everybody called me the Karate Kid, even though wasn't the Karate Kid white?
I don't even know,
Yeah.
but that's messed up.
I'm
Um,
like, I don't know karate and I'm really bad at martial arts. And yeah. Anyways, so Babysitters Club had Claudia
yeah.
Kishi.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I loved Babysitters Club.
Like tell
Um,
people what Babysitters Club is for people who didn't grow up with it.
I mean, just chapter books of like it's a whole series of a group of friends and their little dramas and adventures. And I read there was this one story of Claudia where it was something like she got an assignment from school to do a self-portrait. Do you remember this
Mm.
story?
Tell me.
So the teacher gave them an assignment to do a self-portrait, and she drew a butterfly
Mm.
because that's how she saw herself. And then when
Mm.
she took it to school, the teacher was like, "You did it wrong." And
Oh.
so she was sad. She came home and told, I think, her grandmother, and then her
Mm.
grandmother went back and pretty much advocated for her and was like, "This is how she sees herself,
Oh.
and she did it right. This is her
Mm.
self-portrait."
Mm.
And I remember when I read that, I was you know, I just felt really empowered and
Yeah.
I really liked it. I loved that story. It still like stuck around in my head as I
It's a good
grew
story.
up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember any details of the Babysitters Club book stories. I know they made it into a
Yeah.
show with
Yeah,
young
they did.
people, and it's
And
like
then
super cute.
they also did a like a little special on Netflix on Claudia Kishi and what
Oh,
she represented to Asian
Asian
American.
Americans. Oh, I should watch that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Because I
Um,
didn't even know, because I wasn't really talking to anybody about
yeah,
Claudia Kishi.
yeah. You just read it in
But
your
it,
room.
yeah, it did have an impact on me. I
Mm,
didn't really know other Asian Americans back when I was reading it.
mm,
Like, in Atlanta,
mm,
when I moved to Atlanta, I was like
mm,
in middle school.
mm,
But
mm.
actually before that, I lived in Athens. And
Oh,
at the
wow.
time, it wasn't very diverse.
No, it's like super white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I came to Atlanta, I was like, whoa, like there's so
Oh.
many Korean kids and they all play instruments.
Yeah, they all play
And
violin
yeah,
and piano. I
yeah,
did
I
that
felt a
too.
little lost. Like I
It's a culture
wasn't,
shock.
yeah, I wasn't the only Asian anymore.
Yeah. I have to say that Claudia Kishi, is that her name?
Hmm.
Her story reminds me of my mom. Did I tell you this? What she did when I was in middle school?
What did she do?
Um, my sixth grade teacher was racist towards me and my other Asian American friend in our class,
Mm.
and like treated us differently from all the other kids. And we were the only two Asian girls. And so I remember just being treated differently and mistreated and being left out of opportunities. And this was like a gifted class or whatever, gifted and talented class. And I remember I told my mom this, and my mom and my friend's mom both went to the principal and reported the discrimination. And then our sixth grade teacher took us out of our orchestra class without permission, and then took us to the cafeteria and then yelled and reprimanded us and said, "You think you can just cry to your mom, your mommies, and like get me in trouble? Like, who do you think you are?" And
What?
so
Yes, we can do that.
he was like threatening us, and this is like sixth grade. And so I told my mom again. We both told our moms, and then the teacher, I think, got not suspended, but he was some kind of like probationary period. But I just remember thinking like, oh, my mom is like a great advocate, even though her English is very limited and she speaks with an accent. But that
Mm,
was in sixth grade. Like my mom and my friend's mom, both, Korean immigrant moms,
yeah,
went to this like predominantly white suburban school, and there was a white teacher who was mistreating both of us.
yeah,
But that just sticks out. I'm like, oh, Claudia's grandmother is my mom.
yeah. I mean, good for your mom and your friend's mom for doing that.
I know. I mean, I think you would do that for your kids too, though.
Yeah. No, but I think what you were
Yeah.
saying about like first gen immigrant, like
Mm,
there's just so much more
mhm.
barrier and
There
pressure
are.
and fear like that they have
Yeah.
to get through.
Yeah. But I
So it's
love that they know it's unjust, so they need to speak up and they're not going to let their kids
yeah.
experience that?
And then we see that and I think that kind of strength impacts us.
Totally.
Yeah. I
No, I
mean, even just like
was,
reading that in the book, I was like,
yeah, no, exactly. Like I can't imagine reading. I don't think I read that book and chapter, but I was like, oh, my mom is like my superhero.
the thing about having somebody step in for you and what that represents,
Yeah.
especially as a child,
Yeah.
is so important. And
Yeah.
like that's so amazing. I think that we had that in our parents.
Yeah.
And like in this book,
This
when I read
book.
it,
Yeah.
it was like I think it impacted me because I was
Mm.
feeling different.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
because I was Asian and I looked different from
Right.
all the other girls. And so I think I felt like that, like how Claudia
Mm.
felt in the story when the teacher was
Mm.
like, you did it wrong. It
Oh,
was like, because she drew herself, the way she
right.
saw herself,
Yeah.
that's her
That's
authentic
right.
self.
Right.
And I think that's how I felt like, oh, I look wrong, what it could
Um,
be. I'm in
yeah.
this sort of confused. Like, I
Mm.
don't know. I needed kind of that, uh, yeah, just somebody I could relate to. And then when there is somebody to step in and be like, you are who you are,
Yeah.
and that's special and unique and should also be accepted,
Yeah.
like that really makes a difference. And so
Yeah.
I think like bringing it back to representation, when we see
Mm.
characters
Yeah.
who can embody all different kinds of characters and possibilities, those kinds of stories of like not belonging like really stuck out to me. And so
Okay.
this one, I don't remember if the cast was diverse. I actually think it maybe was, but Are You Afraid of the Dark? Did you ever
Uh-huh.
watch that show?
I was so afraid of it.
I mean, it was so scary.
It was so scary. I think I watched like one episode
It was so
and I was
scary,
like,
but it
can't
was one of those things. It's like I can't watch it, and I'm like still watching.
keep watching it. Yeah.
But there was this one episode of like this girl who keeps getting visited, having these strange encounters with aliens.
Oh,
And then it turns out that at the end, the surprise is that she actually is an alien herself, and that it's her alien family. The whole time they were trying to get in contact with her and try to bring her back home.
I love that.
But the end of the end when she reveals like she's an alien, I was like, that sort of traumatized me a little bit. Like, oh
Why?
my gosh, because she thought the whole time she's a human. And then
Oh,
at the end, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm an alien. And then
oh,
I think it kind of spoke to this little feeling inside of me where I'm like, oh, I'm different.
Oh.
Um, and like maybe maybe I'm an alien. You know,
Oh.
like just like my kid imagination,
Yeah, I
because
could
I
see
already
that.
was feeling different. And this
Right.
girl, her story, like at the beginning, she said she felt different from her
Um,
family and she's kind of struggling with that. And so my like kid mind was like, what if I'm an alien? And so I actually went to my dad and I told him about this episode because it just bothered me so much. And
what do
I
you
was just
say?
sharing. He was like, just wait a second. He went away to like another room, like rummages around, comes back with a card, and he shows it to me. It's his green card, and it says alien resident. Because back then, that's what it said. They
Yeah.
changed it now. It doesn't say alien anymore. And I saw it, I was like, oh my God. I remember I was shook. And I just thought like, oh my gosh, it's true, like my worst nightmare. And he never clarified anything. Like he just may probably in his mind thought it was funny or I don't know, but he didn't say much
That's
afterwards.
cruel.
I know.
Oh my God. So you thought you were an alien up until what age? Like last year? Dude, I was so mad when American Doll, do you remember American Doll? I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
still
I
around.
used to read those books too.
Yeah, read the books, all the dolls. I couldn't afford the dolls, but I remember going into an American Doll store not that long ago, maybe like 10 years ago or something a
Mhm.
young adult, and I was like, "Oh, there's a new American Doll store in New York City. Let me go check it out." And I was like, I couldn't find an Asian American doll.
Yeah.
It was just like white girls with brown hair, but they did have black girls and Latino girls, but no
Mhm.
Asian girls. So
Yeah.
I told the store person, I made a complaint. I was like, I would like to see Asian American dolls here. I don't see any here. And I want to put it on the record that this is wrong. Like, why are Asian
Yeah.
Americans not considered part of the American fabric? Something. What did you want to talk about with K-dramas and representation?
I don't know. Like, did you enjoy watching it growing up?
I did.
Did
I
it have an
loved it.
impact?
I
Yeah.
remember watching 가을동화,
Oh
성애교,
yeah.
and 청승헌. That was my first Korean drama
Mhm.
ever. And thinking like, oh, I want to be like 성애교. Beautiful, cute
Who's
woman who
still
like
acting?
still acting, but
Yeah.
playing a wider range of things. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think when I saw it, I was like, that was like kind of a nice escape that I understand for Korean immigrants it was important, but even as a second gen child of immigrants, it
Hmm.
was nice to be able to see that on the screen. And I really, even though I didn't know what the heck was going on because they didn't have
Hmm.
subtitles back then,
Hmm.
I just liked hearing Korean and then watching Korean
Yeah.
faces on the screen.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
just having crushes on like the actors.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but one thing, I mean, I used to watch it growing up. Um, but one thing I noticed over time was like how a lot of the female characters, maybe things have changed now, but they used to be so like weak and,
Docile.
docile,
Yeah,
crying, and people
I
really
know.
just abusing them in so many ways. Like I
Yeah.
remember this one scene where her love interest, like it was supposed to be romantic, I guess, like a romantic gesture, but
Mm.
she was turned around and then he grabbed her hand and like pulled her in.
Hmm.
And I just thought it was so violent. Like,
Yeah, it's
like even as
aggressive.
a younger kid, maybe I was in middle school or something, but I was like, I don't think I would want a guy to, pull me in like that.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
popular though in this Korean dramas, like getting pulled, and
Yeah.
resisting the pull. It was like, no, don't do this to me, but like, yeah, pull me away because you show me you love me. It was just kind of a weird, toxic representation of love on the
Yeah.
screen.
I
It's
think it's
gotten a way
different
better
now.
though.
Yeah.
There's so many strong female characters and
Yeah.
women CEOs and women
Yeah.
bosses. Like it's a very different
Yeah.
dynamic.
They're like fighting and
Yeah.
taking revenge,
Yeah,
beating up
송혜교's
people.
character from 가을동화 like 20 plus
Oh
years ago
yeah.
to now is like night and day.
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one story about like when I was about representation when I was in I think it was middle school or high school, it was eighth grade or ninth grade. I went
Hmm.
with my friend Eliana and another friend, Kaylee, I think it was, to go trick or treating in our neighborhood. And I we were dressed up as the Backstreet Boys. And so I was AJ. I don't know if you remember him with not
Yeah.
AJ. Howie? Who was the one with the mustache? Was it AJ or Howie? Am I
Uh,
messing up
it,
NSYNC and Backstreet Boys? Anyways, I was one of the Backstreet
this
Boys
is gonna
with the
bother me.
mustache. So I put a mustache, like I took like eyeliner or something and I put like a mustache on.
Uh-huh.
And then the woman who opened up her door, she was like, "Oh, are you Jackie Chan?"
Oh my gosh, did he even have a mustache?
No, it's just racist. I was like, I'm trying to be like a Backstreet Boy character. I was like, no, I'm a Backstreet Boy. I'm Howie or AJ.
AJ or Kevin?
Oh, AJ. I was like, I'm
Okay.
AJ. And she's like, oh, sorry. I'm like, just because
Oh,
he's
that's
Asian, you think he's
sad.
not. This is what happens when there's a lack of Asian American representation. People think that you're not a Backstreet Boy and you're Jackie Chan.
Well, there's only like the very few Asian famous characters that people know, and it was like Jackie Chan or
Yeah,
Bruce Lee
yeah,
back then.
yeah.
That's why I was always associated with martial arts and
I know.
karate and
Karate
kung
Kid.
fu.
Yeah, let's talk
Three,
about how
two, one.
representation now is different from back then. So, like, I know Shang-Chi is probably a big one, and I've seen your
Mhm.
son dress up as Shang-Chi for just for fun and for like Halloween. Do you want to share a little bit more?
Yeah, so when he watched that, he was like obsessed. And so it's not like little kids are watching that and thinking like, "Oh my gosh, I'm being represented in a nuanced way," or in a way that hasn't historically been before. And that was cool to see, that he's not there's nothing to think about. He's just seeing himself represented and just thinking it's really cool. And it was like a different kind of obsession than other, superheroes
Hmm.
or other characters that he loved, because he was
Ah,
like in a Star Wars and other
yeah. How
things.
was
But
it
this was
different?
like next level
Uh-huh.
because it was like he definitely saw himself, you
Oh,
know? And
love that.
yeah, he was like straight up obsessed with Shang-Chi.
When I was younger as a kid, I remember whenever there was an Asian person in a TV ad, I would just go like,
Mhm.
Asian,
Yeah,
there's an
yeah,
Asian. And I don't say that as much anymore because it happened so regularly, but back then it was
yeah.
so unique,
Yeah.
like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, and just like now seeing Asian Americans just being like regular people. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It doesn't have to be like an Asian storyline.
Yeah.
Um, they're just living like regular lives.
Yeah.
Like, um, what's that? The Mindy Kaling's Never Have I Ever
Uh-huh.
seen that?
Uh-huh.
That's
I
really
have.
fun.
It is
I like
good.
that show. What else is
I
there?
like the To All the Boys I've Ever Loved, the Jenny
Yeah.
Han series, and
Yeah.
then XOXO Kitty. It's so
Hmm.
good. And they did
I
it in
think it's just
Korea.
like, yeah, it's just like regular life, like what
Yeah.
a regular, I would say like a Asian American,
Yeah.
um, it's just kind of expanding what it means to be American. Whereas
Yeah.
before, I feel like it was just only limited to like the white experience.
Yeah.
But then now you see just a wider range, more diversity.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they're focusing so much on the Asian identity part, but
Yeah.
you still do see aspects of that identity and like cultural things in the show,
Yeah.
um, because that's just who they are.
Right.
Like they take their shoes off at home or
Yeah.
celebrate certain, holidays.
Yeah.
That
They even speak Korean in
yeah,
XOXO Kitty. I
speaking
love
Korean.
that. It was just like integrated into the
Yeah.
script.
Yeah,
Mm.
Beef. Did you watch Beef?
Yes, I did. And it was
I
the
thought
most
that was
stressful ever thing. I like every episode, I had to take a break and watch Seinfeld or Friends or Curb Your Enthusiasm because it stressed my
Mhm.
body out so much.
Well, yeah, normally I can't watch like highly tense stuff at the
Yeah.
end of the day because I just I need to veg out and or just de-stress. I felt the same way, but I thought it was so interesting, like the church scenes.
So good. It was so powerful.
But it was so like representative of
Yeah. It
Korean
was our
church.
Korean church experience. No,
The
I felt it through the
basketball,
screen. Yes.
the worship leaders.
Yeah. The way they talk about
Really good.
everything. I mean, apparently it
Yeah.
was an actual like pastor and worship leader like doing that scene. So it was very authentic.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to a white girlfriend who is a pastor's kid, and she said that scene resonated with her as a Christian. She was
Which
like,
scene?
the scene at church when Stephen Yoon is at church, and then he's like lifting up his hands and he's like
Hmm.
asked to like confess his sins or whatever. It was a very
Yeah.
moving scene. And she's like,
Hmm.
that just so resonated with my Christian experience, which
Oh, interesting.
I found interesting that Christian experiences being represented authentically and not in a demonizing negative way on the mainstream television.
Oh,
It
you know
made a
what though?
difference.
I saw it differently.
Really?
That's so interesting. I thought it was sort of casting a negative light.
That scene where he was like moved by the spirit when he put his hands up.
Kind of.
Why? Why was it
Like it
negative?
wasn't it for me it wasn't positive. It was
Oh.
more like neutral slash uh like I guess for me I thought that
Oh.
scene was he just needed something to save him because he was going through so much stress and pressure and burden in his life. And so that when he went into that space, the church space, it was so different. Everyone was so welcoming. The music was very emotional. And I thought it was more like showing how you can get lost in that culture,
Oh yeah.
where you feel accepted, you feel like
Hmm.
things are good or being made right.
Hmm.
Which, yes, that is part of Christianity, like a lot of positive aspects of it. But in that story, I thought um, that's ultimately he learned how to play the game in the church too.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he came in kind of naive
Hmm.
and then played that system.
Hmm. I think what I liked about the Christianity representation in the scenes was
Hmm.
that it reflected holistically what it was, the good and the bad. But the fact
Hmm.
that they even included the good to me was big because whenever I look at Netflix or Hulu TV shows about church and Christianity, it's always about a cult,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the TikTok cult or
I
whatever,
couldn't
like the
even finish
sexual
that.
assault cult. Like it's always negative and it's always about like Christians being like this evil figure in society and menace. But
Hmm.
in Beef, at least it was showing just what it is, as it is, the
Yeah,
good and the
yeah.
bad. And I thought
Yeah.
that kind of representation had not yet happened on Christianity, about
Mhm.
Christianity on TV.
Yeah, I mean I did like that about the show. Like it wasn't trying to say the church is good or
Yeah.
bad, but it I felt like it did represent my experience like in
Yes.
a very accurate way,
Yeah. Same.
which was it was both good and bad.
Yeah. That's what I liked
Yes.
about it.
Yeah, I really I thought they portrayed it really well. And then also like the basketball scenes. Like that is so real.
Yeah.
Like the guys playing basketball
All the
and
time.
then off court being all holy and then on court it's like
Aggressive.
yeah,
Jerks. Yeah.
that's so good.
Mhm.
And also one funny thing is, did you finish the whole show?
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert for anybody listening. But when I watched it, I accidentally thought the second to last episode was the last episode. And if you remember, in that episode,
Oh
they
yeah.
were in the car together and it drove
Yes.
off the cliff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
I thought
that's
that was
how it
the end.
ended.
Me
And I was
too.
like, oh my gosh, I had never seen a show end on such a like crazy note. And I was just so blown away because also like other things before that, it just unraveled in
Yeah.
such a chaotic way. And so I was left like with all these feelings, and I eventually just sort of settled and came to terms with the ending. And I thought, wow, that was amazing. So when I realized there was one more episode, I went and watched it, and it was so anticlimactic
Yeah. I felt the
because
same.
I had already made come to terms with the way I thought it had ended. Yeah, because you remember the last ep was it was kind of
Artistic.
slow and
I didn't get
yeah.
it. I don't remember the last episode. I just remember being disappointed by how it ended. But I thought the cliff, like jumping off the cliff scene was the last episode. Was it a new episode every week? Is that what happened? Or
I don't remember.
I just remember, I don't know why
Yeah,
I thought
maybe.
that was the last episode too.
Yeah, but then the actual last episode, they're sort of like wandering in the desert,
It was weird. And then
going
the
in and out of.
rocks with eyes. No, is that everything everywhere all at once? I'm getting all
They
these
did something
Asian.
similar.
Okay.
That's interesting because they did do something similar, and I thought, oh, that's very similar to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh,
But I
okay.
don't
Is that
remember
like
what it was that they did.
something weird that's like too creative? And I just didn't when it's too out of this world, I
Mhm.
it like jars me and I can't deal with it. So it's like I
Yeah.
can't.
I think for me, it was just such a high contrast from what I thought the
Yeah.
way it ended.
Yeah, that they all died.
It was hard to accept
Reconcile.
it. Yeah. Do you remember when BTS visited the White House for
Yes.
the Asian,
Anti-Asian hate, speaking out against
what
it.
was it for that?
Yep.
What did you think about that? And like, do you feel that Korean people from Korea can represent Korean Americans?
That's a good question. I think most Koreans in Korea cannot, but I think BTS can do whatever they want.
Well, they can, yeah.
They can and they did, and I support it. I think if you have a
Mm-hmm.
global platform and you can speak to anyone through any kind of more than a politician can, and
Mm-hmm.
you can move policies for the betterment of the community, I
Mm-hmm.
think do it. I think it's amazing. I feel the same way about people like Taylor Swift or Beyonce who are global pop stars. If they say stuff about climate change, for example, I'm like, why not do it? Or like they say something about something that's happening that's an atrocity somewhere else in the world, like, why not? They have a
Mm-hmm.
platform. They're a global superstar. I don't fault them if they don't use it, but I think it's okay for non-Americans to also speak up against it. And because
Mm-hmm.
they are like BTS, they are East Asians and they have a big American fan base. I thought it was amazing that they did it. And I know the White House welcomed BTS,
Mm-hmm.
to the White House and to meet the president. And my friend, who used to be the highest ranking Korean American White House official, shout out to Linda Shim, um, she escorted BTS to meet the president at the White House and gave a tour of the White House. And like, can you imagine that a Korean American woman who loves BTS too was the one like, showing BTS around the White House? I think
Yeah, that's cool.
that's really cool. It's like history making. And I remember people saw her on TV and on social media, like walking BTS to meet the president, and people were crying and like so moved just to see
Wow.
a Korean American do
Yeah.
that, because they're global superstars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
So,
do love when I think like people can use their celebrity status to influence in a positive way.
yeah.
Um, I think I'm wondering more like, do we, because as Korean Americans, there's a
Mm,
lot that we can't identify
right,
with Koreans living in Korea. There's like so
right.
many different issues and problems, challenges to life.
Yeah,
And then vice versa, thinking about even like Koreans that I've spoken to in Korea who are just like really shocked at some of the stories, like our experiences with racism, and growing up in America, like
yeah,
really not being able to relate to those experiences,
yeah.
but just thinking about, um, do we feel that I don't think they need to represent us like exactly.
No,
But for people who aren't American, can they differentiate those experiences themselves?
probably not. But I don't think if BTS continued to be like, I'm gonna represent all Asian American experiences, I don't think that would be
Mhm.
authentic and good. But I think
Yeah.
because anti-Asian hate was such a big national crisis.
Hmm.
I thought it was amazing that they spoke up on that. But I think they also
Yeah.
spoke out on Black Lives Matter and they like put out statements, which
Yeah.
I think people don't expect like a global K-pop group to do, but they did. So,
I think that's why there needs to be like a large range of um people representing Asian Americans
mm,
because it's not just like one
yeah, one type.
dimensional.
Yeah,
Like there can be stories of like, first generation immigrant families and then also like second gen immigrants and or adoptees. And even within like the different generations, there are people who can speak the language and people who can't, and then just everybody in between.
yeah,
And all of those experiences are really different. Maybe
yeah.
you grew up in a place where you were the only Asian, or maybe you grew up where there are a lot of Asian people, like in Atlanta. And I just think all of those experiences are really different. And also um different what's that thing about when it comes to looking at the Asian American population, when you actually like take a look at it,
Disaggregating the
the
data.
yeah, disaggregating. Um, it's just vastly
Different.
different in
Yeah.
terms of income and status
Education,
and
backgrounds.
education,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I think sometimes when there's just like few like representation,
That's true.
people might think, oh, being Asian American looks like
One
this.
dimensional. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you meet people just on a regular basis, they might have a certain idea of you that doesn't actually represent your life. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I felt when I was in college at Boston College, which is like not, it's like an Irish Catholic school. And I met some
Hmm.
people who had never met an Asian person before they went to college. And they're like, oh, the only Asian American cultural experience I've had is like watching TV shows. And I was like, oh no,
Hmm.
never met an Asian American in their town until they went to college. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think the representation really does matter. And I'm like excited for like your kids that they get so much more on TV and media and like,
Hmm.
you know, leadership in all different fields too. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
wow, I wish we had that, you know?
Yeah. You know what's crazy about the K-pop explosion is that now I feel like I commonly get people who approach me talking about K-pop and K-dramas. And I'm like, I don't really I mean, I know the big, I guess like the main K-pop groups now, but only like their popular songs because it's like mainstream. And back then I just kind of listened because my friends listened to it. But I'm not like a super like K-pop fan, and these days I don't really watch a lot of Korean dramas.
Hmm.
It's just a little bit too like dramatic for me. But it's just like the assumption,
Yeah,
right, that I am also
really
like
into
well
it.
versed in all these things that are popular now. I think that's interesting,
In a
which I
good way or
don't
bad
mind.
way? Oh, okay.
I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about it. Like, I don't know if I love that people assume I know everything about, or like that's the way to connect with me. Just like if somebody comes up to you on the street and they're like, 안녕하세요. You know people like that
Oh
who
yeah.
they assume who you are and they might
Yeah.
assume correctly, but the only way that they think they can connect with you is through your Koreanness, like what
Yeah.
they think it represents Korea. And I'm like, there's so many things I'm interested in that we could connect on. Yeah. I'm not like
Yeah.
bothered by it, but it happens
Are
frequently
you
enough.
sure? You sound like you're bothered by it.
No, it's not something that I lose sleep on at
Yeah.
night.
Right.
Um, but it is a little bit off-putting, I guess,
Yeah.
if that's like the first thing that people think of me,
Yeah.
like, or to connect with me on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
if people do it, I'm not gonna like cancel them.
Mhm. I like it because I watch a lot of Korean dramas and listen to K-pop, so I like
Yeah.
getting recommendations and giving recommendations, but I get it. If you're not following that, you don't want that assumption put on you necessarily.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
do listen to K-pop. I mean, I do like K-pop. It's
Hmm.
very catchy and fun.
Yeah, super catchy. I love pop music.
Yeah. And you've gone to concerts, right?
Yeah, I went to IU's concert in DC. It was so good. I've been listening to a lot of her songs. And then next week I'm going to Epic High. Do you remember Epic
Oh
High?
yeah.
The hip
Were
hop
there a lot
group?
of non-Korean people when you went to
IU. IU
IU?
actually, because she sings almost all in Korean, it was half Korean, I think. The other half weren't. But when I went to Blackpink last year, in Vegas, it was mostly young women who are not Korean. It was very, very diverse.
Wow.
But IU, I think because she's been around for like she's been singing for 15 or 16 years now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mostly in Korean. I think it does attract more of like the millennial Korean American crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good though. Man, she really is like so talented and she's the Korean Taylor Swift for sure.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a megastar. I heard she's the highest paid celebrity or talent in Korea, like highest paid person in Korea. That's how popular she is.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to Boa's concert in New York when she was trying to break into the US market. This was like
Mm.
when we were both in New York, I think in 2011 or something.
Yeah.
She did a concert or after party at Circle. Remember that Korean club in New
Yeah, yeah,
York?
yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Boa is here. It's so
Wow.
crazy. And it
That's
didn't
also
do well,
Oh, it didn't?
sadly. Yeah, her American songs, when she was trying to break into the US market and the US was not ready for a Korean pop star at the
Oh, back
time.
then, yeah.
Yeah, that
And then
was
I
all those
remember
years ago.
like Korean Americans would try to go to Korea to
Yeah.
try to make it there because it was harder.
Oh yeah, like Eric Nam.
There.
He went to Korea, did the Korean singing competition and became a K-pop star in Korea.
Mm,
So it's Korean American. Yeah.
yeah, yay.
Yay, Eric Nam. So to wrap up, I think representation back then really sucked, but there were some good ones like Claudia Kish from Babysitters Club, and our parents sometimes can be really great role models for us when we didn't have that in the media.
Mhm.
Representation now, what would you say is the verdict, Priska?
I mean, I feel like it's been like booming now and or experienced a kind of boom and just
Yeah.
hopefully expanding from
Yeah.
here.
I love it. It's good. It's all very, very exciting. The more types of people there are that look like us in all these like good and bad
Hmm.
roles, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Let's do our pop culture Kiki section. We have our very own Maria here who's gonna ask us questions and we respond.
Yes. Okay. So topic number one is there's been a very viral TikTok trend going around called demure. You guys have heard about it. Um,
Very demure, very
yes.
mindful.
And I saw an article where it was like it's riffing off like the satire of saying I'm not like other girls apparently. So just what are you guys' thoughts on that? And also transitioning from there's a saying from brat summer to demure fall.
Oh.
Honestly, I don't know what the whole brat thing is. I hear it a lot, but I don't know what it is. Do you know, Grace?
I think brat is like you're having a really freaking amazing summer and you're just like living your best life.
Is it an acronym?
No,
Oh, it's just
Brat is a song by Charlie XCX and it's just like a song about like you're just having the best time of your life type of thing.
Google,
I'm
what is
Brat.
brat?
I just said it. I'm Brat.
Your brat? Tell me more.
Brat is like I'm just having like the best summer. I like was kicking butt and doing a lot of things and getting things done, having great vacations with my friends and going
Hmm.
home to see my family in Seattle and you guys. Like I just had a brat summer, I had a great summer. But demure
Mm.
is like I'm very classy and like I'm just very like I don't know, polite. No, it's like it's kind of just showing that you're like super professional and like
Uh-huh.
respectable and whatever.
Yeah, I think I have a brat side and I think I have a demure side.
Hmm.
Right now
You're
I'm feeling a little bit more demure
you're a
because
brat.
I know I'm being recorded.
Oh, but you're
I'm
truly
being
a brat.
very
No,
demure,
I don't think you're demure at
very
all.
mindful. Excuse me? How
You're
dare you?
I said what I said.
Okay, so there are a lot of TikTok trends saying like there's certain aesthetics. For example, if you guys heard of like the clean girl aesthetic or like a soft girl aesthetic. So I was curious if you guys could describe, I guess this could apply to your fashion sense and also your lifestyle, if you could describe like encompass that in a few words, like an aesthetic that you guys have.
Why don't we say it for each other?
Okay.
I think you are,
Very demure.
I think you have like a simple,
Very.
classy, kind of tomboyish, but sometimes a little bit of femme, but mostly it's like practical. I think it's a practical, classic style, I would
Mm.
say is your style in terms of outfits.
Mhm.
I think who you are is not what you wear. Like, I think inside you're such a creative person that has like so much personality.
Mhm.
So I think probably when people first just like look at you in a photo versus like meeting you in real life and getting to know you, they're probably like, oh, she's probably just like a basic Korean girl.
Oh, damn.
Basic,
This
not
is messed up, Grace.
it's not messed up. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Is that messed
I'm
up?
crying.
Why do
All
I
right,
look
my
so red?
turn. Just kidding.
Tell me what I really think. No, what? But you're not a basic Korean girl. That's my
I know I'm
point.
not.
I know. But like just
Oh my
I
God,
was
I'm
just saying
sweating.
first glance, like what people might think.
Thanks, friend.
I like your aesthetic, but I'm just saying like what you wear isn't necessarily reflective of all the creativity that's in you. You know, some people like wear very creative stuff, like they look like bohemian people and they're artsy.
I don't
Like
think it has to
it doesn't.
I think I do have a certain style that I like.
Yeah.
like I do like more of like the classic simple
Yeah.
like white t-shirt,
Mhm.
jeans. Um, and I just like it. And I am trying to add more color. I will say
Oh.
that I used to not really take a lot of risks
Mm.
with colors.
Mm.
But then oh, remember I texted you a picture of what I was making,
Yeah,
like the tank top, and it
the red
was like
one.
very colorful.
I
Oh, and
loved
like the
it.
colorful scarf.
Yeah.
Um, so I think you are right about that, where maybe I wasn't as bold in some of the things that I wore, but even still with the colors, like
Mhm.
I like very just like
Monochromatic.
either monochromatic or sort of straight lines.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Um, I think for you,
Yes.
basic. I'm just kidding.
Basic.
No, I think I see um you wearing a lot of like classy kind of stuff. Like when we're made up or like going
Yeah, yeah,
out,
yeah. For work.
it's like the collared shirts or the gold earrings, or like one piece long flowy
Yeah.
dresses.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I do see it like kind of like the more demure polished style.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, what would you say? Do you
Yeah,
like florals?
I do if it's the right kind of floral in the summer. I would say for work, I it's very different from like play. But for my work, I would say I love like Maj and Sandro, which are like Parisian brands where it's like
Oh.
classic, but modern classic and a little bit like shorter. The dresses and skirts are shorter, but
Mm-hmm.
it covers up your body. It's not scandalous, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's what makes it modern too.
Okay.
Um,
Do
yeah.
you feel like you're there's like a trend that you're liking or going into these days?
It used to be like I really enjoy Kate Middleton style.
Mm.
There was this brand that she wears a lot that I can't remember anymore. It's a British brand. But I nowadays I think my trend is more going towards oh, what is that called? It's like the simple classy look. I forget what there's a word for it.
Was it what Maria was saying? Like the clean.
Soft, clean or soft. I don't know. I don't know the difference between soft and clean looks or aesthetics are, but
Oh.
I think they were talking about it with Sophia Richie, how when she got married, her style changed from being a party girl that wore like really tight short dresses to more of like understated wealthy look, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. It's very classy, a lot of whites and sometimes little
Mhm.
bows here and there, and it's clean lines, kind of
Yeah.
like Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen's fashion brand called the Row, ROW.
Hmm.
Very classy, elegant. Oh, what is that called? Something luxury. Quiet luxury.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't afford quiet luxury, but that is what
Yeah.
I'm drawn to.
Yeah. I think what I'm drawn to that I can't necessarily always do because I just don't have time or
Yeah.
like I'm not like shopping a lot.
Yeah.
But I like looks where it is like basic or it's just it's not pretentious or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's like something that is a
Yeah.
little bit quirky, whether it's an accessory or like a
The
pop
little
of
flower on your
color
shirt.
or like
Yeah.
or like shoes. Like one
Yeah.
small thing sort
Yeah.
of stands out.
Yeah.
I like that kind
I
of.
noticed that with you, with your purse that you wear around, the light green purse.
Oh,
I like
yeah.
that purse. It's like a nice little accent that's a little different from
Hmm.
your
Yeah,
monochromatic
I think that's
simple
the
look.
sort of style I'm drawn to, like something that represents
Yeah.
a little of
Pizzazz.
the pizzazz.
Pizzazz. Yes.
That doesn't make me basic Asian girl.
I'm just saying. I'm sorry if I offended you, but I'm just
No, I'm
being
kidding.
honest. Well, this is the end of our fourth episode, and I just want to say to all of our new and old friends listening,
I
화이팅!